words of the 23rd Psalm. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo exar, Bino de sheir bitzeini, Alemei menuchot, Yeraleini. Nafshi yeshovev, Yanecheni v'makli tzedek leman shemo, Gam ki elek v'geit zalmavet, Lo idara ki ata himadi. Shivtecha umishanetecha ema yinachamuni, Tarach lefanai shulchan neged shoredai, Dishon tavashem en roshi kosi revaya. Achtov vachesed yerdifuni kol yemei chayai, Veshaveti bebeit Adonai leorech yamin. Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit. Guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff, your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. So we are all gathered here this afternoon, sadly, to say goodbye to Anne Vickar of blessed memory, who was known to the Jewish people as Hannah but Yosef of Freda, Zichronah Livracha, the daughter of Joseph and Freda Friedman of blessed memory, the wife of the late Morris Vickar of blessed memory, the sister of Leah Gitlin, and also of Eva Epstein of blessed memory and Rose Phillips of blessed memory, the mother of David and Heather Vickar, and Sharon and Marty Diamond, the grandmother of Looney and Brian, Jocelyn and Mike, Misha and Toby, and the great-grandmother of Madden. Anne passed away on Monday, February 4th, after a long illness, but peacefully, with family by her side, at the age of 90. While we know that Anne is at peace now, and that her struggles are at an end, there is always in a funeral pain and sadness. But even though Anne is gone, she has left the legacy of her love and perseverance. The ways she touched her family's life will remain, and today we will help the process to keep those memories alive by eulogizing Anne and sharing some of those memories. And as I mentioned, the way Anne touched her family's life, we should remember that above all, Anne was a family person. Family is extremely important in Judaism, and it's a very important Jewish value. This is so because families are where we connect ourselves in relationship to past, current, and future generations. Our families are where we experience our biggest triumphs and our deepest vulnerabilities. And they are where we have the greatest potential to do good. It is where we learn the social graces of loyalty, cooperation, and trust. It is where we learn to love ourselves and each other, to bear one another's burdens, to find meaning in our life, and to give purpose to others' lives, and to feel the value of being part of something greater than ourselves. In Jewish families, parents and children are responsible for each other as a way of honoring God. Parents are seen as partners in God's creation of each human being. So, to honor one's parents is to honor God. Another value important to Anne was the value of kindness. In the Jewish tradition, kindness is expressed with the Hebrew word chesed. Chesed, like many Hebrew words, does not translate precisely into English. The word means more than simply kindness. Often translated as loving kindness, chesed means giving oneself fully, with love and compassion. The concept of chesed appears in the Torah more than 190 times. For this reason, many Jewish thinkers hold the value of loving kindness up as Judaism's primary ethical virtue. The greatest act of chesed you can do is not necessarily with money. It's not what you can buy someone. The greatest gift is your time, your attention, your love, your concern. When, like Anne, you take time to connect with someone, they feel your love, they enjoy your company. That means more than any material gift that you could ever give. And the people that are close to you, that really love and respect you, they will rather have you than your money. By giving her family the gift of herself, Anne was saying, "You're extremely important to me. I care about you. I love you. You are valuable." Anne also gave the gift of herself to institutions like Hadassah, the Bar Mitzvah Mother Group here at the Shari Zedek, and JNF. The word eulogy means a good word. Giving a eulogy is a way to honor Anne's life. It is also a way to provide comfort for the loss. The eulogy expresses sorrow, yet it celebrates and finds meanings in Anne's life. I would like to invite David to come forward to eulogize his mother.
Rabbi, family members, and friends, I've done my fair share of talking and giving speeches and lectures, but I have to tell you this is the most difficult one that I have had to put together and present. And I believe I speak at least in part for my sister Sharon when I give you these words. I remember when our father, Morris Vickar of blessed memory, passed away over 34 years ago. I don't believe we had the opportunity to stand up and speak, or perhaps if we were given the opportunity, it was too difficult at the time. Times have changed, and here we are with so many loved ones, both here and apparently online on streaming. And I'll try to describe my wonderful mother in a way that we can all remember and appreciate. And as the rabbi said, even though this is a time of sorrow, I know that my mother would want this to be a time of celebration, and I feel the same way. So how does someone summarize the life of anyone let alone a mother of 90 years, and get it all right. There are stories and details that I could recite and perhaps get some of the details a little bit mixed up, or perhaps someone's going to think it's a little bit wrong or a little bit embellished, warped over the passage of time and retelling. There are other stories that perhaps others can remember better than me, and I won't attempt all of those. In considering what I would say today to do justice to my mother's memory, I keep going back to the same thought. I don't know of anyone who is as generous and giving of herself as my mother, our mother. I'm not talking of finances or material objects, and I must say, I thank you, Rabbi, for your kind words. We didn't write our eulogies together, but it seems as though they are meshing very closely. My mother, our mother, was certainly forthcoming with whatever and whenever she could. Mom was always the one to give. Sort of reminds me of a children's book that Heather reminded me today that I really didn't like for the longest time. It's a book by Shel Silverstein called The Giving Tree. Heather and I used to read that to Misha and Toby almost every night. I must admit, the ending of the story disturbed me for some time, but somehow I find comfort in it in these days. There was a tree that a little boy had a relationship with that provided many things for the little boy. It was a place for shade, a place for protection from the elements, a place where the little boy could pick apples from the tree and have food and sustenance. And as the little boy grew older and became a young man and needed a house, the tree became a source of wood for him to build his house. The tree was very happy. It could give the little boy all of those things in his childhood and even as an adult. But once the tree was cut down, it was sad because it couldn't provide anything else for the little boy. Until the little boy eventually grew to be an old man and became very old and tired and needed a place to rest. And all that was left of the tree was a tree stump on the ground. And the old man, who once was a little boy, who got so much from that tree and all of the tree's giving, had a place to rest and ponder life. Speaking of trees, mighty oaks from little acorns grow. Favorite expression Mom used to use when people looked at the two of us standing side by side. Me, 6'2", Mom, advertised at 5'1", but perhaps less. She would say, from tiny acorns, when people would say, "No." In Mom's last few days, I was talking with Clemens at Mom's bedside. Clemens was one of Mom's companions for the past year or so, and she shared a story with me about our mother, that Mom would, when they had time together, be giving Clemens recipes of her famous creations in the kitchen. And it wasn't just a pinch of this and a pinch of that, but Clemens said it was 2 tablespoons of this and a half of teaspoon of that. They were detailed recipes that came surprising from my mother with her degree of comprehension at the time. When Mom ate meals, Clemens said she always wanted me to eat first. Clemens was helping my mother consume her meal, and my mother was saying, "You have some first. Please eat." Reminds me of when I was a little boy, always tasting her delicious dishes, either when she was preparing them or at the meal. And of course, as a typical good Jewish mother, eat some more, and perhaps that's why I grew to be as big as I did. The penultimate Jewish mother. Mom was a rock from her early days, which were not easy growing up in rural Saskatchewan. But then, as many of us know, there really wasn't anything but rural Saskatchewan. In the 1920s, throughout her lifetime, she stood tall, even though only 5 feet, and set an example for all of us to give more than you take. She probably learned much of this from her mother, Frida Friedman, of blessed memory, a fiercely independent and successful entrepreneur who supported and raised her 4 daughters and taught them what was good and just. buying furs from the indigenous trappers, for whom she not only had much respect, but became known as the Fur Lady, who would give help to anyone who was hungry or cold or needed a loan. Frida was a fine example of giving upon which to model oneself. My mother obviously inherited or learned traits and passions from her mother. I can only hope that they have been passed on to Sharon and I, so that we could do the same for our children and their children. I will not speak for my generation, but there is no question now that I think of it that each of her 4 grandchildren have certainly picked up these enviable traits, and no doubt in great part due to their exposure to their grandmother. I've had many texts and calls lately from relatives and friends in the past few days. There is much one can learn when you hear the comments from others. Now, don't get me wrong, I know my mom was a wonderful soul, but I heard some descriptions of her from these people who have known her perhaps as long as I have, and some even longer than I have. And I have to say that they came up with descriptions that I couldn't even verbalize. One said my mother was witty and intelligent. I don't know how many sons think their mother is witty and intelligent, but indeed she was. Many commented on her wonderful sense of humor. Another said she was a woman somewhat distinct from many of her era, who was not afraid to stand up for what she believed. Upon hearing these descriptions, I thought, yeah, that's my mom. I never really considered them personality traits. This was just the way a mother was supposed to be. One cannot talk about Anne Friedman Vickar without, in the same breath, discussing the fact that she was only 50% of the addition to the Friedman family born on May 21, 1928. Yes, identical sister Eva of blessed memory. To have a mother and my other mother, as I used to call Auntie Eva, was indeed very special. I suppose having a twin was not only special to everyone around them, but more so to Mum and Sister Eva. Dressing alike, switching roles in their childhood years, and apparently the odd date with young men before they were married, just to trick the unsuspecting. And of course, the time that I experienced, and I remember this vividly as a 5-year-old, when running to my mother's side in the house to ask her a question, only to have her listen to me intently and then break out in laughter. I couldn't figure out what was going on. But of course, that was Auntie Eva playing a trick on me. And it was interesting, as the family was by the bedside a few nights ago, Eva's 2 daughters, Mindy and Allison, were telling stories of how my mother tricked them in the same fashion. Sharon had a story the same way. So in fact, the twins, with their identical appearance and nature, loved to play tricks and did indeed have a fantastic sense of humor. I call it twin taunting. And they were both guilty, and they both loved it. Perhaps my mom helped fine-tune her determination to stand up for herself in the lifelong and constant sparring with her sister Eva. Not every hour, but every conversation, there would be a discussion of who was smarter, who was better looking, who was more intelligent. I think that they did this more for the entertainment and enlightenment of their children. We always thought it was in good humor, and indeed it was. Even on their 90th birthday, which we all celebrated together last year, my mother here in Winnipeg and her twin sister Eva in Calgary, both of them unable to get up to go to each other's city to spend the time together, we had a birthday party on FaceTime. We had iPads at both sites. The 2 of them were looking and talking to each other. We had birthday cakes at both sites. It was a wonderful event. And yet, even in that event, the 2 of them were sparring. You don't look so good. Oh, you don't look so good either. I look better. My kids are better looking. No, I got better kids than you do. What a sight to see, and how beautiful it was. To keep our spirits up, as Mom began to tire a few nights ago in her final hours, Sharon and I, Allison and Mindy, could not agree whose mother was whose in a photo of the twins from their 18th birthday that was above the bed. The two of them at the time were so identical, although slightly different. And there were 6 of us who were actually voting. And of the 6, we were split 3-3 on whose mother was which. We couldn't figure it out. I must admit, Toby came in to break the tie, and I'm not sure she was right. I have the last word, unless Toby wants the microphone. That's how identical they were, that at this time, the debate goes on as to who was who. What a great ride it has been to have 2 mothers who literally mirrored each other in so many ways throughout their lives. I'm told in the past few weeks, when Mom was in a deep sleep, her sister Eva, of blessed memory, who passed away just a few months ago, my mother was talking to Eva in her sleep, saying her name. How wonderful is that? And now they're back together again. Our grandfather, Joseph Friedman, Mom's dad, passed away before Sharon and I were born when Mom was only 21 years of age, far too young. Our father, of course, my mother's husband, who also passed away far too early when my mother was in her mid-50s, after only 34 years of happily married life. Dad was a wonderful man, also one who gave far more to everyone and everything with all he had, put up a valiant fight against cancer. For the extended time of his illness and treatment, Mom was not only by his side, but led the way in seeking out the best medical care, not just in Canada, but throughout North America. Mom would not take no or it'll be okay for an answer. It was due to her determination and full attention, her giving of all she had to find the best treatment for her husband, that he did so well for as long as he did. To say she gave her all for those years would be an understatement. This certainly was a fine example of steadfast determination that helped fuel my desire to seek out the best for those around me. When Dad passed in 1984, we were not offered the opportunity to speak. And I will take a moment here to say just one thing, that with all the great accolades that I give to our mother, she could not have asked for a better and more compatible, wonderful partner as one who gave so much more than he took. In her early years, Mom was an avid tennis player, but never made it from Nipawin to Wimbledon. It was just too far to travel. And she was enjoying the Saskatchewan weather far too much. She was an avid golfer, almost to the age of 80, and a curler for many years as well. I looked forward to our discussions before the last few years on Tuesday night, Maj night, when I would ask her how many nickels or quarters she won playing the game she loved so much with her friends. And then there was bingo, even up to a few weeks ago. Somehow, Mom managed to win at bingo, making coffee money that made her so proud. If only I had such luck. Mom's cooking and baking, well, we know that was legendary. She loved preparing food, and in my opinion, she was the best at it of anyone. The more people she and Dad could invite to the house, the better. As I was growing up, friends always wanted to come over to our house, knowing that Mom would always have something they could snack on or even fill their stomachs completely. In discussing with a friend last night, a close friend of mine growing up, his comment would always be when he came to the house, "Mrs. V, what have you got in the fridge for me?" And he would no doubt open the fridge door and start eating all of the delicious leftovers and all of the wonderful cookies that were supposed to be for me, so I thought. Her cooking and baking was unrivaled, and I believe that this is why I grew to be the tallest in the Vickar family. That was until Misha came along and has sprouted at least an inch or two beyond me, which of course means that his mother and my wife Heather must be a pretty good cook as well. And there's a little note here. It says, one must be careful when speaking to always put in a good word for his wife. Oh, sorry. I think I've got that. Mom's shortbread cookies, her almond Florentine, the best ever, and her commish, a staple that she would carry with her, traveling on car trips, on buses, on airplanes. Whenever she came to visit, she'd fill her suitcase. I can still taste them now. Corned beef and pickled tongue, pickles and giant challah bread. These are just a few of the items that so many of us today may run out to the deli to pick up, but my mother made them at home. Yes, pickled corned beef, tubs, giant plastic tubs in our basement of brisket being pickled. How wonderful that was. Mom's mother, Frida, of blessed memory, who I referred to earlier as our grandmother, not to be referred to as Bubby or Grandma, but in fact, she insisted on us calling her Frida, suffered a stroke in her 80s as well. Shortly after she was transferred to Winnipeg, where Mom could help care for her, Mom visited her daily, giving her all the attention and care, not unlike the care she gave to Dad in his time of need. A wonderful mother to us, and equally wonderful daughter to her mother. That takes me to the past 3 years since Mom suffered her first cerebral vascular incident or stroke. Fiercely independent up to that time, Mom lived in her own condo, on her own, cooking and even baking on occasion, to the age of 87. But Mom was never alone. My sister Sharon was only a few short minutes away and always there on the phone as well, in constant contact with Mom, checking up on her and certainly providing all the care and support that Mom would allow. After her unfortunate decline, Sharon continued her care and attention when Mom had a 3-month stay in the Grace Hospital. Following that, to our delight, if you could use that word at the time, Mom was transferred to the Simpkin Center. And I must say, the Simpkin Center is an amazing facility. The Jewish community in Winnipeg is so fortunate to have a facility that cares so much for those who need the support. The building, the excellent and caring nursing staff, aides, activity staff, thank you to all of them and to Dr. Manishin as well. They all put their hearts into their work for all who reside there. I salute the Simpkin Center and all involved in its development and operations. Thank you to one and all. Mom's final years were enriched as well by those she referred to as my girls, a fantastic group of caring, loving, and so attentive caregiving companions. We were so fortunate to have them join us in our journey with Mom in the past few years. They were not only companions, but became such close friends with Mom, caring for her as if she was their mother. So attentive and thoughtful, we cannot thank you enough for all you have done for our mother in these past few years. I hope you know how much we appreciate your care. There's no question that Mom appreciated and loved each one of you even more. Josie, Alicia, Clemens, Hazel, Lovely, or Elsie, and Prissy. Yasher Koach, and thank you all. You are like family to us. Finally, Sharon, like her mother before her, has been at our Mom's side daily for many years now, ensuring that all went well with Mom, coordinating, organizing, and caring. An exemplary example of a daughter caring for her mother. From far away in Edmonton, I was comforted knowing that Sharon was looking after the details, down to shopping for Mom when she had special requests, and she did have special requests at times. Thank you, Sharon, for all you've done for our mother. So what is the ultimate gift that one can give to her family? Well, there are many number ones, but right up there at the top is love. Mom was the queen of loving her family, Dad, Sharon, and I. Then upon their arrival, Lonnie, Jocelyn, Misha, and Toby. Her grandchildren, that was the fuel that kept her flame burning bright. Whether it was feeding them, as always, her fantastic cinnamon buns, her apple pies, of course, gefilte fish, and all sorts of delicious foods, or simply having that special little treat or toy or candy in her purse each time she visited or they came to see Grandma. Mom set a pretty high standard for the parents of our generation. one that could not even hope to reach in that fashion. Grandma loved you all so much. But a great-grandchild. How fortunate Mom was to have a great-grandson, Madden. In recent months, Madden was the only one who could provide the bright spark to light up Bubby's face like no other. Yes, we could all get a smile and great comments and discussion with Mom in the past few years, but Madden is the only one who really lit her candle. Every time he visited, she always had a hug and a big, juicy kiss for Madden, no matter how tired she may have been. In earlier years, Bubby always had a new little toy in the toy basket at her condo, waiting for Madden whenever he visited, and he knew exactly where to look. Exactly. In the past few years, Madden returned the love to Bubby by being her favorite visitor. As he gave her the love in return for all the love she had given to him. Madden, great-grandson, you are truly a lucky guy to have that relationship with your great-grandmother. So there you have it, 90 years of loving and giving and giving. We are all so fortunate, Dad, Sharon and I, our children, and Bubby's great-grandson, as well as all our extended families near and far who are here and those who have gone before, as well as all of Mom's wonderful friends and anyone who had the pleasure to know her. I only hope that we have learned from Mom, if not all the subtleties of her wonderful recipes for amazing cooking and baking, the fantastic sewing and knitting. Did I forget to mention the clothes? Special blankets, sweaters, the kippah I'm wearing on my head right now, and hopefully always will. I have many more of the same. She made things for her children, for her nieces, her nephews, all sorts of items that we have to remember. But most of all, for the amazing gift of giving more than you take. Truly a blessing to learn. Auntie Eva, you and your twin are back together again. And Dad, your partner is with you again. Once Sharon and I were old enough in our teens, Mom and Dad used to go on vacation every February to Israel, Hawaii, Phoenix, or other far destinations. And they would often be away for my birthday in the middle of February. In that event, one of my wonderful aunts would have to sub in for her and make that angel food cake for my birthday while Mom and Dad escaped the Winnipeg winter. Mom, you are leaving us again in the month of February, this time to meet up with Dad to embark on a very, very long and hopefully blissful journey. Together again, we thank you for all you have given us, mostly for all the love and the lesson of giving. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for that inspiring eulogy. Please rise now for the El Maleh Rachamim prayer. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem B'meroimim Hametzeh Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina V'ma'alot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezoyar HaRakim Mazirim Et Nishemat Et Nishemat Chana Vat Yosef Frida She'alecha Le'olama Ba'avur מתפללים, ועד זכרת נשמעת, בגן עדן, בגן עדן תהי מנוחת לכם על הרחמים, אסתי דאיה וסדר כנב לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים, החיים את נשמת אדוני ונחלת ותנוח ושלום על משכבה ונאמר אמן. God, full of compassion, dwelling on high, grant proper rest in the shelter of your presence, in the ranks of the saintly and pure, radiant like the bright heavens, to the soul and Vickar, who has gone to her eternal home. As we pray that her soul be remembered, may she rest in the Garden of Eden. So, compassionate ruler, shelter her beneath your wings forever, and gather her soul in the bond of life. God is her true inheritance. May she rest in peace in her resting place. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. So, in a few minutes, we're going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Sharizedek Cemetery. If you're coming with us to the cemetery, please remember to turn on your four-way flashers, and please stop at stop signs and red lights. After burial, we are returning here to the Sharizedek for the meal of consolation. And instead of suggesting a charity for you to make a donation on Anne's memory, the family has a very special request. If you wish to pay tribute to Anne's life, please do an act of chesed, an act of loving kindness. I don't know, pay something forward, volunteer for a day somewhere, so forth. Please continue Anne's legacy by doing something that money can't buy. Give someone the gift of yourself to honor her memory. So to proceed with the next stage, I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit now and to assume their places alongside Anne's coffin. Following Sharizedek tradition, immediate family exits now, proceed directly to their vehicles. And for the rest of us, please wait here in the chapel. And for everybody else, the tradition is to exit the building and to form two lines outside through which the coffin would find its way to the hearse. Thank you all for coming. See you in a few minutes.